Deep in the forests of North America, a creature is said to exist. A creature that people are encountering.
Seriously, look how big it is.
With far too many reports to ignore, there are elements of truth behind these accounts that mankind can no longer
It's
ignore.
created almost this obsession where I need to find out
Could a
more.
breeding population of large, upright, hairy hominids really exist in North America? Or is there something more paranormal at work here? Deep in the woods. If just one footprint, one wood knock, or one howl was real, then man's understanding of primate evolution would be changed forever. Join Glenn Purcell and the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective as they delve further into the mysteries of Bigfoot and other paranormal phenomena through the eyes of witnesses, investigators, critics, and skeptics. Join us as we look to discover what lurks from behind tall trees.
So hello everybody. Welcome to tonight. This is a really special night for me because I have been trying to talk Carter into coming on my show now for 3 years, and here we are. The planets aligned and the stars all came together, and here we are. This is going to be so much fun. Everybody, this is Carter, and he has written several books, all of which I have, and they're awesome to read. You are a great writer, by the way. The books are very easy to read. They're very reader friendly, and they really keep you engaged, which I loved, because I can't start one and put it down and walk away from it because I got to finish it. They're so good to read.
I don't know how I did that because I graduated with a D- average. So I don't know how that happened, but you know.
I don't know, but you do a really great job at it. So this is Carter's latest book. If you haven't gotten it, you need to get it because it's like my camera here. Baptized by Abduction. Now, this is a very interesting story, and it's one that has piqued my interest. And Carter and I have been talking back and forth for several years now. So this is the first time we get to see each other in person, which is fantastic. And how long have you been involved in? I mean, have you always been interested in aliens and things like that, or is this something you kind of happened at accidentally?
Yeah, I don't know by accidentally. Here's a really bizarre timeline. So I first got interested in Sasquatch research when I was like 8 or 9. And that's because I saw In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
When I was just a kid, I went, "Oh God, that's real! I love that. I want to do that. And it's cool. It was just fascinating." And so that's what got me into Sasquatch research. Now, how I ended up joining the BFRO 20 years later, 7, 8, 9 years old. So let's say 40 years later,
Oh my
my
God.
wife and I go to Washington State and we rent a cabin out in the middle of the woods. And they had just legalized marijuana in Washington State. So we went hiking in the woods. And they said you need to watch out for booby traps and stuff like that because all the illegal growers were still trying to get their crops in before the feds came in or the locals and came in and burned them all out. And so we're just hiking up in the Olympic area, and I had to take a leak. So I walked over to a tree and was doing my business. I looked down at my feet, make sure I wasn't peeing on my feet. And I looked down, and there's a giant ammo box, military ammo box, chained to the tree. I'm going, whoa, okay. Then I remembered the TV commercials. Look out for booby traps because the growers don't want you or the feds or anybody coming in and taking the crops. So I thought, oh my God, maybe this thing's booby trapped. I found somebody's dope. I didn't know. So well, I'm left-handed, and so I'm staring at it. And by the time I was through doing my business, I decided, I want to open that because what the heck's in that? That's just bizarre. It hadn't blown up yet, so I figured, well, if it was booby trapped,
might be safe.
I got to trigger it. So I'm left-handed, so I grabbed a stick with my right hand. So if it was booby trapped and blew my arm off, I could still write with my left hand. That was honestly my logic. I got it open, and I found out that it was a geocache game.
Oh, yes.
You know what that is? Yeah. And so for those that don't know, geocache is where it's a worldwide game, and everybody is just given geo coordinates, longitude and latitude. That's all you're given. And you have to go find these boxes or something buried or wherever, anywhere in the world. And you open it up and you take something out and you put something in and you sign a little book that says I was here. So that's what I did. And the very first thing that was on top when I looked in this box was a Bigfoot researcher's card from Washington State.
Oh. I'm
going, this is supposed to happen. I would love to look into this. So this is supposed to happen. So, I got back home, I called a guy, and he put me in touch with the guys here in Missouri. And I ended up going on several expeditions. And I said, I want to be an investigator. And so they told me how you do it. You have to be smart, you have to be intelligent, blah, 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 blah. You have to be, meticulous in your note taking and all that other kind of stuff, And these guys, although helpful to a degree, were very, very hateful because they were ape only.
Oh, yeah.
Not believe that they were just dumb apes. You had a miserable time with these people. They were just hateful, to the point where they make fun and ridicule you. It goes way past like, come on, you're out of your mind, man. They can't do that. That's just a dumb ape. It got worse. So I joined, but the guy that took me under his wing, they fired him for doing a crappy job. And I found out about 2 months ago, he just got fired again because they rehired him after I left again.
Wow.
He's gone for good. He was just he was worthless, honestly. So that's how I get into Sasquatch research.
Right.
Well, when we had gone to Washington State, I had already been abducted when I was 7 years old.
And didn't know it.
Had no idea.
Oh my gosh.
Why I was so attracted to UFOs and the planets and Sasquatch, it makes sense now because I had already been up in a spacecraft multiple times.
Insane. Possibly
as recently as 2021 here at my house.
Wow. So,
but that's how I found out. And it's a hilarious story now, but so my wife and I and another couple were sitting around one night and we decided, I want to find out if I have a past life, if I had a past life, because I always felt like I was a woman, when I was, growing up. I always felt like I was a woman in a past life. I don't even know why I thought that or knew that. I barely even knew what afterlife or past life was, what I was saying this. I always felt like I looked like my mom when I was, whoever I was when I was a kid or a baby or before I came to, whatever. I always thought that. So anyway, we found somebody, and this was 2003. So we found somebody about 20 miles east of here. Kansas City is where I'm at. Liberty, Missouri is where I'm at. And we went, and she had this big studio in a barn. And outside her studio, they have a lot of acreage. And they had a maze. So you could walk around and meditate and calm yourself and become one and, just relax before you go in and get hypnotized. So we all four went in. And she hypnotized us one by one. We all watched, and it was all getting recorded on tapes. So my wife was first. She couldn't go under because of control issues. We talked about that earlier. Some people just cannot be hypnotized.
Right.
They cannot relinquish control of their mind and their body. They just can't do it for whatever reason, you know. So she didn't go under. Steve, my good friend Nancy's new husband, he went under, and he was in the ruling class in Atlantis. He's wearing these really lush, beautiful robes, and he had people dressing him and getting him all, you know, dolled up to go do presentations or go service the court or whatever he did. So he described that life. And then Nancy goes under, and she was a fisherman in the North Atlantic, and she was describing having to lash herself to the boat because of all the horrible waves in the North Atlantic. She had a yellow slicker and a yellow hat. She was describing all that. And her other life that she found was she was a Native American medicine man, possibly a medicine woman, I'm not sure. But she was helping her tribe die. They all had some horrible disease, and she was just making them as comfortable as possible because there was nothing she could do.
Right.
So we're all watching this, and so then it's my turn. And so they start working on me. You know, the hypnotist started working on me. I was kind of fighting it. I was just having trouble getting under. You know, I was struggling, and nobody, you know, she couldn't figure it out. I didn't know. I'd never been hypnotized. So anyway, she got me under finally, and I started talking like a 10-year-old boy. A little 10-year-old Carter. Oh, get your hands off me. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop. I was bawling and just stop it. Stop it. You're hurting me. What are you doing to my friend? I mean, it was just, it's on the tapes. It's like, it's very uncomfortable to listen to, you know. And, you know, I finally settled down a little bit, and I described what I think might have been my first abduction. I probably had been taken many, many other times. But I was 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere when this happened, 1958 or 9. I'm 72 right now. I'll be 73 in September. So I was born in 1951. So yeah, I'm an old fart. You know, where's my diapers? Where's my diapers, Martha? Come here.
You don't look like you're in your 70s. That's for sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah. No, but anyway, so I'm going through this progression, and everybody's just like,
I can only imagine what they're thinking as they're watching you do this.
I was this hypnotist's probably her second or third clients ever. She had just gotten her license to be a hypnotherapist. And so she was like, what do I do? You know, because I'm sitting here bawling, freaking out, and everybody's staring at me. And so, you know, but it lasts for about, 30, 40 minutes. And then they bring me out. And I told, and this is the weird part. And this would explain why, screen memories is a very important factor here. Screen memories is what they give you, the ETs, to forget what you saw. So like many, many times I saw the grays, the little grays, the little 3 and 4 tall drones, that are really, the actual grays are 5, 6 feet. They're our height, they're our size. But the little ones are robots made in their likeness to do some dirty work and heavy lifting and just, grunt work. So, but anyway, so I went through all this, and they took me out, and I described, the main thing was that they took us, me and my friend Craig, were riding our bikes in front of my house in Dallas, Texas in 1958 or 9, somewhere in there. And this blue car just blew by. And we ran a stop sign because we both had new bikes. We were racing our bikes. Hot summer day in Dallas, Texas, 1950, let's call it 8. And we run a stop sign because we're just having fun. And it's, midsummer day. And this car goes by. You can feel the wind. Your clothes are blowing. You go, God, how did that not hit? Oh my God, we're going to be in so much trouble because it was right in front of my house.
Oh my gosh.
And my mother didn't work, so I knew she saw it, but she didn't because we were screaming. and yelling, but she didn't see or hear anything. So we're actually, at the time, I was more afraid of getting my ass whooped by my mom for doing something stupid by running a stop sign with my buddy, you know. So, but I described, we were taken, both of us were inside this craft, and we were both still on our bikes. And I'm behind this kind of screen, like cheesecloth. I can see through it. I can see it. And Craig is over there, and he's on an elevated cot or bed, or like an operating bed or something. And he's screaming and yelling. No, stop! And I'm going, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to my friend? You know, I'm screaming and yelling. I'm going, oh crap! I'm next. I want out of here. You know, I mean, it was really. I was going. Well, I'm sorry you're having a bad time, but they're going to do that crap to me. So I need to get out of here. So, so anyway, that was the gist of the first regression. And there was much, much more to it. But I had all my life, from the time I was in my teens to the time I was right now, told a story of stupid things you do as a kid that should have got you killed, but it didn't. You have a story like that, Gwen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You do. So, I stuck my finger in a light socket and it just wasn't on. Or I was playing with a gun and it went off. And just, I felt the bullet. So I was telling my story of me and my friend Craig riding our bikes and almost getting run over by a blue Buick, by a car. Because remember, I didn't know until 20 years ago that was not the real story. The story was we were abducted, but I didn't know that until 20 years ago. So every time I told this story, I've been in real estate for 25, 26 years, and you're trying to break the ice. People at a gathering or a meeting or a happy hour or something, you just start telling stories. And so that's the story I always told, is just to get to know you and soften everybody up and talk and stuff. So that's the story I always told. But now here's where the screen memory comes in. Now, screen memories, like I say, they're what they give you. So like if you see a gray alien, well, you, a human, you will remember a doll in your bedroom with big eyes. You'll remember a deer. You'll remember a cow or something with big eyes. And it only takes your mind a split second to get distracted and suddenly go, oh, well, that could have been an alien. They don't exist. It must have been a cow or a deer I saw. And so you go on about your day and you don't think anything of it. So that was the screen memory I had until that afternoon we got regressed. And I found out that story. Now, here it even gets better. That blue Buick, my grandparents in Houston, Texas, had a blue 1951 Buick Roadmaster. I never saw them drive the car because I don't think they could drive anymore when I started going around their house a lot down in Houston to visit. I don't think they could drive because I never saw them drive. I think they were much too old at that time, And so, ironically, about a month or two before we get regressed, my wife and I decided we wanted to restore an old car because we both had, really cool cars when we were kids. Mm-hmm. So we decided we'd just find an antique car somewhere that needed to be restored to its former glory and do the work and get it done. So guess what car we bought?
Let me guess. A Buick.
What year?
Probably 51.
Yeah. Except it was black.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Now, I had no idea of the correlation between the two, none whatsoever. But in the back of my mind, the ETs took a screen memory that I had because they knew we used to go see our grandparents all the time.
Right.
They had that Buick in their garage. They put that Buick as my screen memory, so I would just immediately go, oh, that was just a car.
Right.
Well, and later in that regression, I did see the craft, and I described it in great detail, and I described it in great detail several other times. But so they completely controlled my every move up until 2004 when I found out, because we had already bought this black Buick, and it's on the back of the.
Yeah.
And
which is a beautiful car.
yeah, no, we did a great job. We kept it black and restored it. I mean, it was, the engine, everything. It cost a lot of money, but it was a beautiful, beautiful car. A collector in Spain ended up buying it. But anyway, my thing is that I was firmly convinced that the car that almost hit me was a blue Buick, and it was not a blue Buick. It was a craft.
Oh my gosh.
And so they put that memory in my head so I would not recall what happened.
Right.
That happened. So fast forward to 20 years ago, 2003. I hadn't even gotten in. I did my first Sasquatch thing in 2011. So, but I had all these tapes. I don't know if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon.
Yes.
She is, anybody listen to this, look it up. Dolores Cannon. She would be in there with John Mack and who's the artist, the other guy? A painter. I'll think of him. They regressed hundreds and hundreds of people. John Mack was a Harvard professor who taught psychology, and he started having people for class going under, and they started describing abductions, aliens, all kinds of things. And all he was doing was really just showing them how hypnosis works. But multiple people started coming forward and coming out and said, "Oh, what?" Like I did. Get your hands up! Stop it! Stop it! Girls were being taken out of their windows at night, floated up to a spaceship, and they would remember these things. And he started going, "Well, what is this? This is what have I stumbled on?" So, and he looked further and further and further into it, and he realized what he had. So he started doing it. Now Harvard did not like that. He was their tenured professor. He could not be fired, but they discouraged him in every way, shape, or form. And he mysteriously was run over and killed by a car in London about 15, 20 years ago.
Mysteriously, you say?
Accidentally. It's bizarre because he was getting awful close to saying something. And he did. But after he was censured by Harvard and told not to practice this type of hypnosis, they had to relent because they couldn't fire him. They couldn't tell him. He was tenured, so he could do whatever he wanted. Bud Hopkins was the other guy.
Gotcha.
Bud Hopkins. If you want to look, Bud Hopkins and John Mack. Boy, if you want to get some good stories, boy, mine's nothing. So, I go through and I get taken under. All these women, they're all women that took me under, were students of Dolores Cannon.
Oh, wow.
Which I didn't know, and I didn't know who the heck she was.
Right.
So I go under with the one here in Independence. I can't remember what I gave her a different name. I don't put anybody's names in here just to protect them. But
right.
I went to her. And then it was after that. Then my wife and we went back the next night without our friends, and she hypnotized me. Same thing, just worse.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, more stuff, more abductions, more all kinds of stuff. And so I decided, I had to drive down to Springfield, Missouri to go to her, and and the other lady was just here in Independence. So I said, I need to go to the queen. I need to go to who's teaching these people, because I need to get some answers, because I still could not figure out what was going on. So I went to another woman down in Springfield And she confirmed everything that happened in the first regression and found more stuff. Then I went to another woman, and she also verified everything I had already found out with 2 regressions.
Oh my gosh.
And found more stuff. And so, okay, I need to go to Dolores Cannon because I did my research by then. I was going, I got to go find this lady. She's down in Arkansas, really sweet lady. If you look it up, Dolores Cannon, she passed away in 2014. So I went under with her in 2005 and 2010. And she pulled some stuff out of my rear end. It was just like, and all of these regressions, all these women, I kept saying all during my regressions, am I really saying this? Is this really coming out of my mouth? What the heck is this? How come I'm saying this? And I was talking in weird voices because I was speaking to or through aliens and super subconscious, which knows everything that Gwen has ever done, good, bad, or indifferent in her life. Your super subconscious knows everything. It remembers stuff you don't want to remember,
Right.
That little boy in the 7th grade, No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? You are uncovering stuff,
right.
And so I kept saying, like, what? This isn't real. She kept just shut up, keep going, keep stopping yourself, because I kept saying probably a half a dozen times, if not more, this can't be real. Am I saying this? Because I was talking about going to the rings of Saturn. I went to Machu Picchu. I walked underneath in secret rooms and tunnels that are under Machu Picchu. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But that's where I was. And I was walking on floors that were mushy, like the big, thick seaweed you see that grows in these long 2-foot stalks. But it was used for flooring. It was just weird. But so anyway, I verified everything. And Dolores Cannon is like the champ. So 2000, what is it now, 24? Last year, 2023, August, I did my last regression. And it was from one of her last students, a 3rd tier. A 3rd tier just means you have reached the pinnacle of accomplishment hypnosis-wise. If you're a 3rd tier regressionist, you've done, hostages, maybe sexual abuse, rapes, abductions. You've done all the stuff. You know how to treat people. You know how to bring them out and keep them calm if they're starting to freak out when they're still under. So anyway, and she found that everything I had already been through was true, and she found other stuff, including that I may have been taken or visited as recently as 2021 or 22 here in our home.
Oh,
something I get attributed to Sasquatch. So that's the story. Now, all the different adventures in the book are just mind-boggling, But here's how this kind of tied in. So in 2019, I led an expedition for BFRO in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been canceled, but 4 people still wanted to go, and nobody wanted to do it. The guy who was going to do it had a family emergency or something, couldn't do it. So they refunded all this money, but there's 4 people that still wanted to go. We don't want our money back. We want to go. We've been hoping, been waiting for this forever.
Right.
So, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so I led this expedition. It was quite remarkable. We had multiple footprints cast. We had some very, very bizarre interactions, although they would not communicate with us. They were throwing twigs and stones and little acorns at us from up above this high banks on this ravine we were walking down. And so they were there, they were watching us. And so trying to put this in the right context. So we couldn't continue because one woman was freaking out a little bit. You know,
Oh.
we could hear these, you know, the squatch up above us. You know, they were grunting and huffing and puffing, and you could hear them walking and, you know, sitting down, and the whole ground would shake. And so she was not taking that very well, as I put it lightly. So we stopped, and where we stopped was kind of a natural stopping point because this log was at the end of this ravine, and we wanted to go over it, but there was another tree that had been torn out, a really big one. It was, you know, done with flooding or something. So we just couldn't get past that. And I didn't want to, I could have, but I wasn't going to mess with it with this girl freaking out.
Right.
I go, you know, and that was Friday and Saturday. So I leave a camera at the end of this log over here. I said, well, Harold, I'm going to leave a camera. You know, I know if you leave a camera, you're not going to get a shot. But if I don't leave one, you're definitely not going to get anything. So I thought, well, I'll leave one. I'll pick it up on the way home to Kansas City, which is about 300 miles away in the morning.
Right.
So I get up in the morning and I go down there. Now, Harold is my partner in Illinois. Now, he has had several strokes. He's an older guy. He's had several strokes, heart attacks. So he could not go with us. He drove to the parking lot, then he stayed in his truck because he has too much trouble at the time navigating rough terrain. So he was there, but he wasn't there. So he was in his truck waiting for us to get back. So I'll leave the camera. I go back in the morning and get it on the way back to Kansas City. And I'm looking, and there's all those rocks. I go, well, those weren't there last night. Where'd those come from? I was trying to figure out, you know, where they came from. But, you know, and there's 4 rocks right here, and this one right here, the bigger pointy one, the arrow shape, is me. And I look at this, I'm going, oh my God, that's me. That's the 4 expedition people. That's me. I'm leading the people. And at the other end of that log is this little short round rock. You can't see it right there. That's Harold, who was there but wasn't there.
Oh my gosh.
So the Sasquatch people left these stones because, you know, by the time we left 11, there's nobody out there at that night, at that time. No. Nobody. And I'll tell you why here in a little bit. But there was nobody there. So I called Harold up. I told him, I said, Harold, you're not going to believe this. Did you put any rocks? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And I texted him a picture. He's going, oh my God, what is that? I said, I don't know for sure, but I think I just made a friend, I think, you know. And so I hung up on him, and I called my wife because I was about to leave. And I was telling her, I was all excited. I was about to, you know, normally when I tell this story, I start getting teary eyed because it was a seminal moment for me.
Yeah.
But I called her and I said, you know, you won't believe this, but I think we just got gifted by Sasquatch last night because I found these rocks. I told her the whole thing. She goes, well, when did you go home? I said, well, it was after at least 11:30. And there's nobody out. There's nobody out here just getting here at 11 or 12 at night. Right. I know that's for sure. Nobody just got there. These were put here after we were there, period. End of conversation. So she goes, well, I tell you what, about 9:30 last night, I was getting ready for bed, and I'm standing in the middle of the bedroom, and a blue orb comes in the bedroom, flies around twice. It flies around her in circles, goes into the bathroom, and disappears. See, I'm getting chills now. I'm starting to get all teary because it's like, who was that?
Right.
What was that? Well, you know who it was, Gwen. You know who it was, the Sasquatch. They're telling me, hey, you're in the clan. You're one of the cool guys now. You know, high five, Carter. You know, but they, you know, and said, I asked her, I said, well, did you see the orb or did you see reflection? She says, no, I saw it. And I also saw it reflected in our dressing, our mirror that's on our dresser.
Oh my
So
gosh.
not only was it flying her around her in circles, when it got to a certain spot, it was reflected in the mirror. So she knew she saw the reflection and the orb at the same time. So there was no, the way our house sits, there's no cars, headlights, nothing weird.
Right.
But it was about the size of a golf ball. It was just flying around the room, went into the bathroom, gone.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so at that point, I started this document called Strangeness at Home. Have I sent you that?
No, I don't think so.
Uh, all kinds of weird stuff started happening about that time. And we've had other weird things. We may have some spirits in this house, but a lot of weird stuff happened. Hearing my name called, Sheila hearing her name called, somebody
Oh,
tapped me on the head 3 times while I'm sitting on the sofa watching TV. TV turns on and back off. Just weird. And it didn't happen
right.
with very little regularity up until this happened.
Wow.
And so I started associating this with the Sasquatch bringing me into their family, clan, whatever you want to call it, or just acknowledging
Right.
my work and that, I like you guys. I don't want to shoot you. I don't want your bodies. I don't, I'm just
Right.
fascinated. You're a fascinating species. I just, so that was that. So, and ever since then, we've had odd things happening. And my last regression, I'll set this up. 2021, my wife gets up and goes to the bathroom. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching her, but it's like there's a light on in the house. There's some kind of glow. And so I can see her. It's like I'm looking through a dirty windshield. It's kind of dirty. If you just take this screen, it's kind of dirty around the edge, but real clear in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm watching her. She's getting up and walking to the bathroom, and I'm saying, "Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?" Because I right before she got up, I felt these 3 hands on each side of me, going under my butt, under my thigh, and under my leg, my lower thigh, and lifting me off the bed and starting to carry me off the bed. And I'm saying, "Are you seeing this? Do you see this?" And she walks right to the bathroom like she doesn't hear me. She doesn't hear me. I go, "What? Do you not?" She just went into the bathroom. I was going, "Oh, geez." So I'm slowly start going over here, and I can feel their fingers kind of inching a little bit closer to get a better grip. And as soon as she flushes the toilet, they drop me.
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and so when she came out, I said, "Did you not hear me? I was talking. Did you not hear me? Did you see any of this going on?" I said, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see or hear anything." I told her what was going on. She goes, "Oh, that was just a lucid dream. You're just having a lucid dream." I go, "Well, it didn't feel like a lucid dream because it was just very, very real. I was slowly being inched over the side of the bed, and his hands, I couldn't see who or what it was because I was fixated on the front because I was like,
Right.
I'm going this way, and I wasn't aware, I had no idea what it was. And so that was an event that I chalked up to Sasquatch, maybe juveniles coming to jack with me. My last regression, she confirmed that was a visit. It was not Sasquatch. I had 10 questions I could ask this last lady. Nobody else ever did that. They may have, I just don't recall it. But she said, "You got 10 questions you can ask." So a couple of them were regarding Sasquatch and my research.
Right.
And it wasn't them. It was the ETs. They were coming to do something else. She verified that in 2021, maybe 22.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't. Actually, I think. Where is my? I do have it. I'll tell you exactly when. I'm not even going to go into all the voices and mirrors flying off. And
I want to come stay at your house now.
It was May of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. So now, you got any questions? I mean, I could just start yanking.
I have a million questions.
Well,
Did you
get 5? I'm going to give you 5 questions.
Five. Make them good. Make them good.
Yeah.
In any of these regressions, did it ever come out that did they ever do anything to you?
Yeah. No, I was. They had taken my friend Craig numerous times. Now he and I used to hunt, really more like fish, and go to the creek, and there was a place called Castleman's Pond in Dallas, that we used to go down, and but he had been taken numerous times, and when I was taken with him, I was just collateral damage. I just happened to be there. They were not after me.
Oh.
But we were the same age. 10-year-old, 11-year-old boys. I mean, we're the same age. Same birthday. Exact same birthday.
My.
September 16, 1951. It gets better.
Stop right there. When is your birthday?
September 16, 1951.
I was born September 16th, 1973.
You kidding me?
I will show you my driver's license.
Should we have gotten married and had kids or something?
I don't know, but I got huge chills down my back when you said what your birthday was.
Oh, that's why we connected anyway. Probably other reasons, but
Oh my gosh.
Is that bizarre? Yeah.
I'm blown away right now, really. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it gets better. So I'm trying to figure out which avenue to go. So Craig, we've been taken several times. Now, I looked him up, and there were 7 people with his last name all over the country. His name is Craig something. I won't put his last name in there. I found the one that I thought matched. And then when I found his birthday, September 16th, 1951, I said, that's him. He's living in California now.
Oh, my.
So, and I'm from Dallas, Texas, and all this happened in Dallas. And so, and I know it was him. I get a hold of this guy. At first, I send several of these guys emails, and they don't respond. Well, all of them apparently do not use their emails or their Facebook pages very often.
Okay.
They had Facebook pages. I found, I think, 2 of the 4 that I found that I thought were close had Facebook pages. They hadn't done anything in like a year. Just some people just aren't social media types.
Right.
So anyway, I found him and I called him and I said, hey, Craig, I don't know if you know me or remember me. My name's Carter Buschardt. We went to school together. We lived in the same neighborhood, Dallas, Texas. No, I don't know you. I never heard of you. What's this about? And I just flat out told him. I said, Craig, I know it was you because you and we burned down your parents' the back of their garage shooting off fireworks, and we were grounded from ever playing together ever again. That Craig boy's no good, bad influence on you. You don't hang around him anymore. And they told his parents told him the same thing. That Carter's no good. You don't hang around that guy. He's just nothing but trouble. because we burned, we shot off bottle rockets, and the wind blew them back down right at the weeds at the base of the back of their garage, and whew, the thing just, we were just kids. We ran, I watched the garage burn, the half of the back of the garage. Anyway, so I told him, I said, Craig, we went to school together. We were in classes together. Well, no, I didn't go to school in Dallas. I went to school in Richardson, Texas, which is like 30 miles away.
Okay.
So I know that was him.
Right.
But screen memories work better on some people than others.
Oh my.
So then I start talking to him. I said, have you ever been hypnotized or regressed? Well, I actually have. I'm not sure I really understand or believe the science behind it. So I never did it again. But yeah, I've tried that a couple times. So you're born September 16th, 1951. You deny knowing me, but you've been regressed hypnotically for whatever the heck reason.
Right.
And it was adamant. Well, that's not me. I'm real sorry. But here's the funny thing. The conversation lasted at least 20 minutes. Huh. Now, if he gets the wrong number from somebody, he says, hey, I don't know if you know me or not, but you and I were abducted by aliens and as kids.
I probably would have hung up the phone.
Yeah. I mean, what do? You go, yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever you're buying, I'll take two. Send me a bill. I'll whatever. See it. We talked, and he had the conversation that he just denied knowing me. I know it was him. Oh, his name came up. Now, I had another friend named Gordon. Guess his birthday.
Huh. September 16th?
Keep going.
1951?
He lived 2 blocks over from me.
Oh my gosh.
We were known as the Nature Boys. We hunted and fished a lot. And I don't hear from them. We hung out together really, really well until high school was over. Then we all went our different ways.
Yeah.
We got into music and all that. And so I only hear from him about every year or two. I'll get an email. And he will email me to let me know that somebody we went to high school with died. Oh. That's about it, Okay. Well, Larry McBride died. Just thought you want to know. Well, it's too bad. Good hearing from you. How's everything going? Oh, pretty good. We'll talk later. And that was it, And he's one of those that has a Facebook page that has like 0 entries. He's got it. He's maybe made about 2 entries a year for like 10 years. It's like,
oh my gosh.
It's just one of those things people do. You're just not into it. You're not into it.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk to him because I didn't have a phone number. So I just returned his email and I said, this is what I'm going to email you about. Of course, I never heard back from him.
Right.
If you're going to do experiments, what better subjects than to have 3 humans that are exactly the same age, same sex, same everything?
Yes.
What are the odds? Of course, now what are the odds of Gwendolyn Purcell having my birthday too? You know what I mean? What are the odds of that? But you know what I mean? So it was that way. And so I know I'm on to something, but Craig said, that wasn't me, man. Hey, it was nice talking to you. He sounded very subdued, like I might have awakened something in him. I don't know. He denied it, but I guarantee you that was him.
Interesting.
And so, did they do things to me? Yes. Several things they did was what they called melding or meshing. You probably read that in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I haven't gotten to that phrase yet, but that is what they call human hybridization. They segregated me from my friend Craig and from the rest of the ETs on the craft. I was in like this kind of cocoon. It looked like a kind of a bean pod, but it was like a cocoon. And I was watching them do stuff to Craig in this other room. And he was screaming and crying, just, yeah, oh God, stop it, you know. And I'm going, oh crap, I'm next. I got to get out of here. So I started trying to tear myself out of this cocoon or embryo or whatever it was. And so they came running in and they thought I was going to hurt myself or something. So they took this, you know, like a laser pointer, sliced the thing open, and I come out, and I'm out. And then they start explaining to me. Of course, this is under hypnosis.
Right.
That they are isolating me to see if we're compatible with their DNA. And they kept coming back and getting me with him. So I must have been compatible. Whether or not I had anything made from my DNA, I have no idea. You know, that's the thing about the screen memories and remembering things, is that every time that I didn't listen to the tape, I probably would have remembered something else. So I still haven't done it. What I ended up doing was write this stupid book, you know. But, you know, I wrote it, and they were melding and meshing to make sure I was compatible and that Craig was compatible. Apparently we were. I was given an implant, and it failed. And so I had this horrific nosebleed when I was about 13. And basically, I found out they came, took it out, and gave another one, put another one in. Came to my house and got me. And so here's something. I used to have all these dreams when I was a kid of little gray men, little gray robots walking down the hall. So over here was my parents' bedroom, and there was a nightlight plugged in and a socket in the hall. So it kind of lit up the hall because our bathroom was down there on their end. So, but I would see these little gray robots, and they looked like they were walking on an escalator, because as they got further away from the light, they got a little bit further down. But I think that's just the elongation of the shadows due to where the light is, you know, how that kind of stuff is.
Right.
And so, but they came in my room multiple times and took me and or did things with me there without taking me anywhere. Now, here's another screen memory that is interesting. If you got questions, just shut me up, because I'll just keep going. So in my room, I share with my brother, my middle brother, we had bunk beds. We had one dresser, a desk, and that was about it. It wasn't a real big room, you know, with you know, a desk and toys and a bunk bed. It takes up a lot of room. So we didn't, you know, there was no chairs or anything to sit in. Well, several times I would remember waking up and seeing Aunt Jemima sitting in a rocking chair in my bedroom. Although I did like pancakes,
That's insane.
we did not have a chair
Right.
or a rocking chair in our bedroom. No room for it. I'm going to tell you how this all comes full circle. So, well, Aunt Jemima, they screwed it up. Looked just like my grandmother. My grandmother was white, of course. They had a white, chunky Aunt Jemima who was wearing glasses and had gray hair up in a bun, but no white hat. And when I'd sit up in bed, she'd sit up. When I lay back down, she would lay back. And this happened every time I saw her, which was 2 or 3 that I recall, probably more. She would always do this. Another screen memory, because that person who looked like my grandmother, they screwed it up. I saw her, and she would be rocking back and forth, and but Aunt Jemima was black, not white, She had black hair, not gray, up in a bun on her head, and she didn't wear glasses. This woman had glasses. That was my grandmother. And my grandmother's the one who owned the 1951 Blue Buick in Houston, Texas. And I now, as an adult, have that rocking chair since she died, my grandfather died, and my dad died, and my mother died. So I ended up with that freaking rocking chair. It's in my house.
Oh my God.
You see how just it comes full circle. But, the Aunt Jemima, which was my grandmother, was the tall gray, because the little robot drones were just the ones that would kind of come in, get you up, get you out of bed, do whatever, maybe put you in a trance or give you some kind of drug or whatever. But and this came out in my abduction tapes, that this was the tall gray, and I was given the screen memory of my grandmother so I would not be freaked out when I saw this giant gray who was, 6-7 foot tall, the really tall grays. That happened several times. And it's just like, but also during my regression, they would say things to me like, how did you remember that? You weren't supposed to remember that. We don't know how you know that. How do you know that? Because I would remember things.
Oh my gosh.
Like the screen memory, like the little robots coming down my thing, like, the car and the spacecraft, which was a dark, deep blue, it looked like a Christmas ornament, that's kind of like this and kind of comes to a point on the top, just kind of conical, but it was flying on its side. So the big end was here and the tail was here. So I ended up seeing that in one of the regressions, and I also saw it on this dike that we used to fish at Joe's Creek and Castleman Pond. There was a dike, an earthen dike, and we saw a beautiful leather horse-drawn funeral carriage from the late 1800s. Black leather clad, brass, big lamps, just beautiful, ornate thing, sitting up on this dike. Well, that wasn't a wagon. It wasn't a funeral thing. It was the craft. Is that just bizarre?
That is extremely bizarre. I'm almost at a loss of words.
Yeah.
Like,
and so we saw this several times, and we would see somebody up in the tree, either up in the tree like an ET up in the tree, or a craft hovering just above the tree. It was never made clear, but we would always, there many times we saw something watching us while we fished, and we were pretty sure that we were taken from there. I'll say we because it's a collective we, but anyway. So we saw that, and we knew there was somebody there, but we couldn't stop it. We're just two stupid kids. We couldn't stop anything from happening. So now this beautiful carriage was on this dike, dam, if you want to call it a dam. We called it a dike because it was called a Castleman's Dike. Anyway, it was just an earthen dam on this pond. So we were taken from there, I don't know how many times, 3 or 4 at least, because I don't know where else, because that's the thing about the screen memories. They do obfuscate your memory. You'll remember something, then you go, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Right.
And so you're already confused. And so your mind's a blur with all that kind of stuff. But we saw the craft. I saw the craft, and I described it in great detail, and it was beautiful, ornate, but that funeral carriage was never there.
No, that's insane.
Yeah. Now, Castleman's Pond was a place where you could board horses. They had a big acreage, and so people rode horses, And I think a lot of them boarded horses there. So we'd see people riding by all the time.
Right, but
So there
not.
could have been a reason to have that, but we were there all the time. We never saw that carriage. That thing was just sitting there by itself. And we were sitting there going fishing, going, what is this? That's weird. But it was the craft. That was the screen memory. But they would ask me, and a lot of times when they gave me the memories, they were saying things like, you won't remember, but you won't forget either.
Oh, wow.
Speaking in riddles. Well, you weren't supposed to see that. So whatever your perception of it must be correct. They were jacking with me. You know what I mean? They would tell you that you were remembering things. Of course, you're talking to the shrink or the regressionist. I won't say shrink, but regressionist. And so they are connecting with your super subconscious and or the ETs. And so every now and then, at one time during the latest regression, my voice changed a couple of octaves. It really got weird because I started talking like the ETs, very robotic and very methodical. But they would keep telling you that, well, it's possible. We can't say yes, we can't say no. That was a way of telling me, because they said it half a dozen times. You weren't supposed to remember that. How did this happen? Because they were truly surprised that I remembered some things, and I've always remembered them, but I remembered them as something else. Now that I've been, had been abducted and I knew it happened, now I know what it was. And
now you said the first woman you went to was this. You were probably her second or third regression. Being that she was brand new to that, what was her reaction to what was happening?
I mean, she was beside herself. I mean, she wasn't like going, bat poop crazy, but she was aghast. She didn't know what to do.
Oh my
God.
God.
She told me, she said, you were like my first, I'm doing a simple past life regression, and I've got this 8-year-old kid who's been abducted by aliens in my studio. What do I do with this?
She has no idea what to do with it. Yeah.
No, I mean, no. Now I do a lot of conferences, right? I'm taking a couple of years off, but I do a bunch of conferences, and she and I were sitting next to each other one day. I said, "Is that you?" And she looked at me and goes, "Yeah. Do I know you?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh my God," because we hadn't seen each other since then or spoken. But I was usually the only Sasquatch guy at these paranormal conferences.
Yeah.
And she was doing hypnosis, and they had all the others. They had the alien guy. But the thing that got me off my butt was I was doing a conference with Travis Walton.
Yes.
Okay. Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky, abducted by aliens. Classic story, true and real as it can be. We were sitting next to each other. I was doing presentations and he was doing presentations, but it wasn't our time yet. So we're just sitting there talking to people as they come by and all that, sell a few books, whatever. And I started talking to him and just telling him my story because he was, just sitting there by himself.
Right.
And he was going, "Oh my God, what are you going to do with it?" So I don't know. I just told him, I said, I'm thinking about doing a book, but I'm not sure what to do with it. I'm right in the middle of all my Sasquatch research. I really don't want to screw that up. He goes, "So you're chasing Sasquatch through the forest at 2 a.m. all over the country, and you're afraid of what you might find out if you get hypnotized."
And you're like, "Yeah, that sounds good."
Yeah, because I'm kind of a hypocrite, aren't I? So I said, "Well, you got a point. I mean, I don't know why I have done nothing with it,
right,
other than I possibly, and my ego will allow me to admit that I was maybe afraid. I'm saying it now, but it wasn't coming out then. I just thought it was going to get in the way of my Sasquatch research. I know what's on there because I was there for all the regressions. I listened to them each once. I'll get to them. 20 years later, I've still done nothing with them until this. And Travis got me off my butt. He just said, what are you waiting for?
Right.
Write that book. You got all these other books. What the hell? What are you waiting for? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I felt like I was getting screamed at by my dad. You know, he was like, "Come on, man, you know, get it going." So I ended up getting the book published with printed from his same printer. You know,
nice.
Yeah, but so he was the excuse me, he was the catalyst for me getting off my butt and doing something with it. And
Interesting.
you know, it'll be a year in October, maybe November this year since I released the book. I have probably talked to probably 10 or 12 researchers or people like you with podcasts, and they all go, "Oh my God, that sounds like what happened to me." And several of them have gone and gotten regressed. If I told you the names, you would know more than half of them.
Oh, wow.
It's that common. Because right now, you hear about an alien abduction almost every day.
Oh my gosh. It's like
catching a cold.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like
I got a cold. I went to Uranus. You know, I went to Saturn. You know. Well, they did. They took me to the rings of Saturn.
Which is insane. Like when I read that in the book, I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
well, here's why. So, you know, this ties back into why I'm so engrossed in research and probably the Sasquatch thing, especially, is that how do I put this? Well, let's just say that many people who are in this, like you are, have had things happen. You would know many of them. I've sworn myself to secrecy, as I have with everybody, because I just all the people in all my books, they have pseudonyms and pseudo locations, because who or where is not important. It's what all my Sasquatch books are all about: people having habituation relationships. Mm-hmm. So it's but there's a lot of people you and I know, and it may be a common thing for researchers to be scratching multiple itches at once.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing is, one person might remember it. I had no idea until I found out by accident.
Right.
Because many people say, well, I know I had dreams. I know I was pretty sure I was pregnant as a teenager, and by the time I was 3 or 4 months pregnant, I was no longer pregnant. Well, alien gestation, depending on who you talk to, is in that 4 to 5 month period. Oh. So if they are implanted with DNA, alien DNA, the Earth women, they will come to as full a term as they can with that ET baby after about 4 months. They come back, take the baby out, and they put it in those big tanks that you see them floating in. And that's when they mature and grow into whatever. We have something they want. That's why they keep doing this.
What is it that you think they want? What is it it's you?
Emotion.
Oh.
Feelings. Things of that nature. Possibly part of our DNA has certain things that they cannot access. And so if you do any research on the chimpanzees, a certain chimp has 2 more DNA strands. We have 21 markers for DNA. They have 23. So whether that has anything to do with it, I don't know. I've just been reading about this. But we have feelings. We have emotions. We care about our family and our people, our loved ones. They don't. They live a robotic. Everything's very clinical.
Do you think it's them wanting to become more like us, or do you think they're growing hybrid children and maybe putting them back down here on Earth to live to advance us? Do you think they're trying to advance us or advance themselves?
Yes to both. I
Yeah.
mean, there's all kinds of evidence for them having hybrids here already that look just like us, but they're not. They're alien. I mean, you and me, Gwen, we could have a clone somewhere. I might have one up on Saturn. I don't know. I hope I'm a nice guy. Carter, you up there? But I mean, it's just bizarre. Now, to the thing with Saturn, this is another reason I was super mystified by the world around me at a very young age. I sent off for back when you could send off a couple of box tops, Kellogg's.
Oh, yeah.
You could get a map of the universe. So I sent off a couple of box tops, and I got this big map that was probably 4 feet by 2.5 or 3 feet, right next to my bed. I could stare at it. I could look at all the planets right there, except there was no stars. It was just the planets, no stars, but they're in a black background, but just no stars. I was looking at it going, well, where's the stars? How come there's no stars? There's stars up in the sky. How come, I was always questioning things when I got this map. But I seem to be particularly fond of Saturn because, it is big and beautiful, the rings and all. That's really an impressive sight. And so I'm looking at it. And so maybe that's why they took me. But they took me because I do not know what race I was dealing with. Probably never will. I cannot afford $300 or $400 a pop to do 10 more regressions and find out what I miss. I'm gonna have to listen to the tapes or learn it elsewhere. So, but they said the old souls from many planets live in the rings of Saturn. And I was there. I was watching this debris, like chunks of rock and brick and dust. Gravel was hitting me in the face. It's going pretty fast. It's like getting hit with sand going 50 miles an hour. It doesn't make a mark, but you feel it. I just feel the dust bouncing off of me and stuff. And they were going to leave me there. I said, I don't want to be here with these old people. I have a life to live. I do not want to be here. I was talking like an adult at the time. I said, I don't want to be here with these old people. I don't want to be here. So they brought me back. That was one of my trips.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, another trip was going to Machu Picchu. And I was going down a long tunnel, and there was water and moss kind of dripping slowly down the stone that I was walking by, and I was touching it, and it was real slippery. And there was a big stone as you went around this corner, and you had to touch it. You had to put your hand on it and leave it there. And it was dark brown with human oils over the centuries, hundreds or thousands of years. It was black and it was dark brown and gleaming. It was just really nasty looking, but it was, it's where everybody had that wanted to go past this point had put their hand on the stone. To pass there, you must put your hand on the stone.
Right.
Why that was, I don't know. I didn't ask, but little things like that. So, but they were experimenting with me and my friend, and I don't know how many times I had a paper out. I was away from my house a lot, because of my, situation at home with my old man, and just because I was, and so, but I may have been taking all my paper out.
Oh, wow.
They admitted to coming back and getting me and re-putting the implant in my nose. It was in my left nostril. And I remember the nosebleed. It was just prolific. It was just gushing.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, well, we fixed that. They put another one in. I don't know if it's still there or not. Honestly, I just got through, my wife and I got COVID in the end of last year.
Mhm.
before this book got released. And so my hearing went bad. I have a bad right ear, which I ruptured an eardrum skydiving. So I had tubes in my right ear. Well, my left ear hearing went gone after COVID. And so it slowly came back. But I had to go to my ear doctor because this tube came out. So I had to go back and get it put in because it was like every year and a half or 2 years. It happened all the time. It just came out as time. And so I had it put back in, and I was hoping that they would see something while they were up in there.
Right.
Didn't say anything. Do you see anything in there? Because I was kind of, BS. I said, well, I kind of feel something around here.
Right. Can we take an X-ray or something?
Yeah, I was just trying to say, do you see anything? They say, well, there's something back there blocking the moisture from evaporating. But other than that, I really can't see. I think it's just probably earwax or something. We really can't tell. So I didn't want to tell them, hey, could you look and see if you see something that might have looked like a horseshoe or an alien implant or something?
Something.
How do you say that to your doc,
Right?
So, but they didn't find anything. And they did a CAT scan. So there's nothing in there.
Huh.
So it may have come out the second time and just not been replaced. Or it could be somewhere else entirely. I don't know. I know it was replaced, because they told me. I wasn't supposed to remember that either. That's why they were so blown away, because I kept remembering things,
Mm-hmm.
And they say that you could tell that they were not enjoying this because I was not supposed to remember anything. And
Right.
I remembered everything. I mean, virtually everything. Now, where else I went, who my friends were that I was really taken with, because I kept bringing up like Robert and Bobby and other friends of mine from my neighborhood, but that's just because there were people I hung out with every day. We played guns.
Right.
We
Right.
played Fort. Did you ever play guns?
Mm-hmm.
You get a fort. We had like a little log cabin in our house, so it was a kid's playhouse. So we played guns, and we went across the street to fields, and we were throwing hand grenades at each other, rocks or clods of dirt, and so we played guns. And so I was around a lot of my friends. So there were some times when I was regressed, I was mentioning Robert or Bobby. Well, Robert died in a horrible fire at a commune in New Mexico when he was about 18 and I was about 16 or 15. He was a little older than me. So if I saw him past that, well, it wasn't him.
Right.
He was dead, by then he died. So, but it was just, it's cathartic to know that your childhood is a lie. The memories you have are not what you thought they were. There's something else entirely.
Now, do you think the relationship with your dad and the tumultuous situation there, do you think they had anything to do with, do you think they came and took you because of that? Or did that have any play on anything that maybe happened?
I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't think so, because I was taken with a couple of specific friends, or one specific friend, let's say. And it seemed like we were like a match made in heaven. Like, we both had the same birthday, and I think we both had the DNA that they wanted or could use. I don't think they may have been aware of my childhood and how bad it was at home, but I don't know. And that could be a question I could ask if I ever decide to cough up some more money,
Right,
and get regressed again, But they did mention my Sasquatch research. The last two women did ask, the question, and it was brought up that we're aware of his work.
Now, does that mean that there's some kind of correlation between Bigfoot and aliens? Your opinion?
I just had this conversation on another podcast about 2-3 nights ago. Jessica Jones.
Oh, yes.
It is possible that, what was your question? Let me read.
Do you think that Bigfoot and the UFOs are
Oh, yeah.
No.
So, are you familiar with Pork and Beans show
No.
out of Canada?
No.
Ryan Bland and Mike Harrell.
I'm going to have to look it up, though.
Pork and Beans show. I will email you this document. Now, this document is called, what is it? It's the list of commonality.
Okay.
So Mike Harrell, he's very open. If you want to just, Mike Harrell, look up Pork and Bean show. You'll see Mike Harrell and Brian Bland. They're out of British Columbia. I've done their show half a dozen times. Anyway, when he was graduating college, he had a thesis to do. So him and I can't remember how many, 15 or 20 grad students had to do this thesis for their degree, whatever it is. They contacted abductees from all over the world. The main criteria was you had to be awake from the time you got on the craft till the time you were taken back to wherever you were taken from. House, car, bed, whatever. Got in the middle of nowhere, whatever. You had to be awake.
Okay.
And they wanted to know who or what you saw on the craft that looked like they belonged there. What are the 5 top beings you saw? They mentioned the short grays. They remember the tall grays. They mentioned the Nordics, the tall whites, Sasquatch, reptilians, a couple others. They had over 50 things in common. That the Sasquatch were there not as abductees, but as if they were part of the machinery.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's see if I could find it. It's let's see. God, my folders. Oh my God, the stuff I got on here. Jeez. Let me see. Where's my Word docs? Here we go. Mike Harrell's list of commonality. Now I'll send it to you. This is what the star people, ETs, and Sasquatch have in common.
Huh.
Both have mind speak. Both go invisible. Both can be seen as other animals or other things. Both have the ability to do physical healings and are reported by many people. Connect to humans for life. Not for life, but for life. They connect to you. Once they connect with you, you're in. You're in the group. Both breeding between humans and ETs or with Sasquatch.
Wow.
Follow a human family for several generations. That's my habituation studies. Both contact humans in early childhood. Both change lives for the better. 80% said that. Both do not change people at all with contact. 10% said they were not changed. Both do change people for the worse. PTSD, 10%. Both have the there's like, it goes on and on. I'll just send it to you. But the thing is, there's a connection. Now, a lot of my Sasquatch habituation folk, especially a couple of specific families with generational activity, which means they've had stuff going on for 20 years plus. They will see craft, not all, but some have mentioned a craft, all shapes and sizes. I've got one that's 300 yards long, and one of my witnesses, it covers this entire field. Anyway, they Sasquatch, spacecraft, blue orbs, they are all mentioned by more than half of my habituation families, where they see a Sasquatch right before or after a UFO event, or they will see a UFO right before or after a Sasquatch event. Many of them mention that. So, is there a connection? It's hard to say no. And here's my thing: we don't know anything.
Right.
I mean, there's I'm not an expert. You're not an expert.
Nope.
I'll never be one.
Nope.
I'll be dead before I'll know everything. You might outlast me. You'll probably be all right. You might be an expert by the time it's over.
I doubt
But we'll know the secret by then.
Right.
We'll know what's going on. But I can't say no, because these people that I've been dealing with I started my Sasquatch research in 2011. It's now 2024. So I can't believe it. But I've known some of these people 12, 13, 14 years. It kind of blows my mind when I think about it, because it seems like yesterday I met some of these people, But I get invited to their property. I get to experience the Sasquatch. I've seen lights. I've seen weird stuff. And because they're kind enough and generous enough to have me over. And I'll be dang if it's just some of the coolest stuff. I've heard my voice repeated back to me in my voice. You quit talking back to me, Sasquatch. Stop that. Cut that out right now. Stop it. Go to your room. But you know what I mean? It's so bizarre to hear you do a call or a whoop and it comes back. Or I told him, who I was. I'm sitting on. This is what they do. One of my families. They sit on the front porch on a Saturday night. Got something else better to do. You get a 6-pack of beers, some popcorn, and you go out and jack with the Sasquatch across the road. And the Sasquatch will know they're there, and they come, and you hear them kind of coming in and crunching and moving through the brush and doing all this stuff, and and then they start chattering and talking. And then I said, "My name's Carter. 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 Carter.
My gosh.
Carter. Carter." But it's in my voice. It's not, I didn't grammaticize it, but it's in my tone. It might as well be, if you did a DB study and recorded and looked at my waves, that would be me. I mean, They were going, "See, I told you." I mean, they do this routinely. I've got another couple of couples that just sit on the back deck of their house and they chatter back and forth. They'll throw sticks and twigs back and just hear stuff and hear knocks and rock clacking and whoops and stuff. And that's their entertainment. And they're talking with a creature that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? If someone came up to you, you started talking to them, and they, 20 minutes later, you just met them at the, Walmart or Hobby Lobby, and you go, you know what I did last Saturday? We talked to the Sasquatch. You have Sasquatch in your woods at your house? No, no, not really. Last Saturday night I rented a crappy movie from Redbox, so I got nothing like that going on in my house. So, but that's what they do. Some of them, that's their fun.
Right.
Just sit and listen to them. Now, one of these families, I won't get into the Sasquatch if we're talking about the book, so I get it. So, but what I'm saying is, all the things that I have going on in Sasquatch, with my research and all that, is known by them. They're aware of me and my work. I didn't ask, when I was under, are these, is this real? Are these real beings? Are these Sasquatch? Are these aliens pretending to be? I didn't find out any of that. So if I decide, I'm putting a list of questions together to go back and ask, and I may use the most recent regressionist and just find out, are they ETs? Do they transcend our shape and form? Can they change their body, their physiology? Can they change into a tree? Can they change into a cauliflower? Can they change into an orb? What is all this stuff going on that people keep saying, and all the apers keep saying, you're stupid, you're crazy, that stuff doesn't happen? Well, you know, I've talked to 400 witnesses, probably more. I'm not just finding nothing but crazy people.
Right.
I don't have that kind of radar. I just go, you look like you're berserk. Tell me about yourself. Well, I had dinner with Sasquatch last night. And my grandmother's dating one. You know, it's not like that, but it's just the habituation folks live different lives. And the longer they let it go, the longer they participate and interact, some of it's very subtle, some of it's in your face, they are shown other things that the Sasquatch can do. And, you know, whether it's, you know, changing your vibrational frequency, you know, I get mind speak from the Sasquatch. They show me where they live at the place in Illinois. Because every now and then, and that's why I attributed so much activity in our house, the strangeness in our home. I attributed most of that to them because that was my most recent interaction with a being I could put my finger on.
Right.
But it may not have been them. It could be the ETs. It could be both.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you just, you know, we have a dollhouse here in our house. We have a granddaughter that comes and stays with us every now and then. She's coming this weekend, actually. She's autistic. She's on the spectrum. Real sweet kid, and she's growing out of it, but she's still, you know, she's just getting to the age where, you know, the kids know she's different.
Oh.
And so it's heartbreaking, but that's okay. You know, the heck with them. She'll be good. They won't.
Yeah.
But she has a dollhouse, and for no reason, the doorbell just starts ringing.
Yeah.
It's got a little, you know, doorbell,
Mm-hmm.
and well, obviously it's a little doorbell because it's a dollhouse. You know. That was a stupid statement, but anyway. So, but it just rings by itself. Now we've taken the battery out, put it back in, and nothing happens. But then it'll ring by itself, and we think somebody knows to push the button. It'll ring the little doorbell. You know who it is? I don't know, but it's somebody. You know,
right.
We've got them here. Oh! I just remembered. I haven't even told my wife this. Today I got home and there was a half of a crystal marble laying on our doormat. And right at the edge of the doormat was a crow's feather. I've got them sitting in the kitchen. I was going to show her, but when I get done with my interview, I'll show her. But it's just like, who does that? Now that's kind of a spirit or a Sasquatch thing. You get that a lot with feathers and stuff. You know, Bryn McGilvery and a lot of people. You know, Ravenhawk. All these people. They deal with them in that essence. You know, I don't. But they've come to me and they've shown me where they live and play. I've seen. You know. My wife and I meditate right before we go to bed at night because we're not good sleepers. I've got to get way down. I got to get down.
Yeah. And
so, but a couple of times I would, just before I'm in that REM, that REM state, right before you go to bed, right before you go to sleep, I start seeing, and I'm going down this kind of a tunnel, but I'm going down at a certain speed like this, but everything's going by me much faster than I'm moving. You know, it's just kind of a weird, but you know, if you've done any research, you know, their version of time and space is considerably different. If you heard how they walk and how they locomote, you know, their legs go, but they're only moving a certain thing because their time space continuum thing, and that's why, you know, perhaps they can, you know, change vibrational frequencies and appear to be moving really fast when they're really not. It's just throwing you off. So, but they will show me, and I'm going down this ravine. And I recognize the ravine, and I see the little kids sticking sticks in the ground, chasing mice and bugs around, and, you know, big caterpillars and stuff, and moles. And, a couple of adults were just kind of laying around, just like a bunch of old fat, lazy humans laying around in hammocks, except there's no hammocks. They're just laying around, relaxing, having a good day. And they've shown me that. And I've asked them, I said, where is this? Because this looks familiar. Where is this? Home. This is home. All I need to know.
Right.
It looks exactly like a research area I have here in Missouri, and it also is very similar to the place I led that expedition in 2019 in Illinois. That was at the Trail of Tears. And that area is very, very haunted and lots of spirits. I've led 4 expeditions, and this is kind of funny. Whenever I go scouting, I go to these little small towns. First thing I do is hit the mom and pop breakfast joints. They're open at 5:30. You go in there and you got all the old farmers in there in their overalls, and they're looking you up and down, go, yeah, boy, and from here, he's city slicker, I said, well, hey, I'm looking to do some research, some Sasquatch research. Or anywhere around here that you've heard of them or know where people have said it? And so when I went to Illinois, they said, well, I know one place you don't want to go. You don't want to go to that place out by the water department, because that place is haunted. There's so much weird stuff going on there. There's not a man, woman, or child that'll go anywhere near that place after dark.
And you're like, what's the address?
Yes, exactly. 1126 Waterway.
I'm going.
In Murfreesboro, Illinois. Oh, my God. But on that spot where we went, where I picked, I didn't know at the time, but I did later, that 94 Native Americans died on their march. They were doing the march to the west from the East Coast. And they were along the march of the Native American displacement. They would meet preachers and people who were sympathetic to their plight, what was happening to the Native Americans. Were treating them horribly. That we don't need to go into it. It's horrible. Right. Homo sapiens, white man, we suck. We just suck, But anyway, so 94 people at this location froze to death. And that's why it is so haunted. Nobody go there at night. Nobody. Not the baddest, most macho guy in the town. He won't go anywhere near it. Well, thank you very much. That's where I'm going.
That's where I'm going. Okay.
And actually, I ended up getting my first dogman report and a photo from a guy who thought he was having Sasquatch activity, but it looked like it was a dog man.
Oh, wow.
I think you've got that. If you got this book.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that picture's in there.
I wonder, do I have that up here?
You may not have it, but it's in there.
I absolutely do.
Yep. It's, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, this is the
yeah.
Now that this being was coming into view when the daughter snapped this picture. So it had been in visible form. It was tearing up this tree outside her bedroom. So when she came outside with her camera, he disappeared momentarily. And then he came back in to view. He remorphed into a solid form. His hand or arm caught the strap in her camera and jerked it just slightly. So it blurred the picture up enough, just a little. But if you look at that picture, it does not look like a Sasquatch. It looks like a wolf or a dog. It's not fully formed. So, but anyway, that area is super haunted and spooked, and nobody will go there. And so the problem is that many of the graves that were disinterred there were not reburied, and it had to be done by a medicine man. It had to be done during using certain protocols and certain materials like red blankets. All the graves that were washed out were all wrapped in red blankets, red totems, blankets, and they had to be done reinterred that way. And they couldn't find people to do it because they weren't blessed, or they weren't the right type of medicine man, or they didn't have the right red blanket, or they had to do certain spells or chants, and not enough people are left alive now that knew what to do when those people were buried back then. So that's why a lot of that stuff is still there. That's why nobody goes there, and it's a great place. I've been back, but anyway, so the correlation between potentially UFOs, Sasquatch, Dogman, Mothman, whatever other cryptids are out there, you can't say no
No.
because you don't know.
Right.
You can say I don't believe, but you can't say I know they don't exist. How do you know that? Well, they told me. And this is the reason many of us humans don't believe anything. From the day you come out of the birth canal till the day you're 18 to 22 years old, you are told how to view the world. The teachers, the preachers, the government, social media, your friends, and immediate influential circle will always dictate your view of the world, with a few exceptions, of course. But there's no such thing as UFOs. There's just no such thing. The government's been telling you that for 80, 90 years, or they've been lying to us for 80, 90 years. So finally, the technology caught up to us, and we have technology now where we can photograph these things a whole lot better than we could. So what did they do? About 3-4 years ago, they threw us the Tic Tac video.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. That's something there. We didn't build that. We can't do that. We don't have the technology. That was not built on this planet. It's built off planet. We don't know who did it, but we're trying to find out. But we do not have that technology, so that is not us. We'll get back to you. And what have they told us since? Well, it's going to be the same with Sasquatch. They lied to us for 80 years, and the government's going to continue to lie about UFOs, Sasquatch, everything, until they can monetize it, weaponize it, militarize it, however they can use it, get the most out of it. And that's why Eisenhower and Truman sold us down the river to the ETs. We want your technology. You can come take our humans. And you can find out stuff about that in the late 40s, early 50s. Eisenhower's daughter still lives here in Kansas. And they're doing the best they can to label her a kook. But she knew, and she saw some of her dad's papers. But Eisenhower started it, and then Truman carried on afterwards. But we want the technology. That's where we got, of course, the theory. But this is where we got Kevlar, laser, computer boards, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they traded for that, and now we have arguably the most sophisticated technology of any country on the planet.
Yes.
We don't know how many deals they made with the Russians or the Germans.
Right.
Supposedly the Germans were building a super craft with the help of aliens that was going to destroy the United States. And Mussolini was building a super soldier that was a combination of guerrillas, man, and who else knows what, doing all kinds of horrible things, experimenting to try to be the superior race on the planet.
Yep.
So that's that's continually going on. So, but the government knows all about the Sasquatch. I will put my life on that. I know they know. Some of the people in my books, they've been told, you say a word, you're done.
Oh,
and I mean, you're done. I mean, you're done. You say nothing.
Disappear. Right.
Government crews doing plantings, forestry workers, conservation, doing tree planting and stuff like that. So in this book, there's a great story about my guy up in Canada. I don't know if you've read that yet. Probably not. Have you?
Mm-hmm.
The guy with all their hair standing out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, you say a word, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy that bought all 4 of my books, and then he bought 4 more to give to his brother. And his brother contacted me.
Oh my
and
God.
They were on tree planting crews up in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
And they saw things. And it was the same thing. You think life sucks now? You say a word, you cannot imagine how bad life is going to suck. Words to that effect. I mean, you say nothing. No pension. You'll be bankrupt. You'll have no family. I mean, they're just told flat out, and that's it. That's all that's said. That's all you have to say.
Right.
Those guys, have a hard time finding work. Well, okay, if there's no Sasquatch, there's no spaceships, there's no Santa Claus, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Elvira, there's no, whatever, So, but they're forcing ignorance on us. So we just don't even know how to think. When we see something, we can't comprehend it. So it must not be here. It must be our imagination. We had a bad tuna sandwich or something. We're seeing things where, you know how they tell you. They just, they tell you that doesn't exist.
Right.
With the apers, they're just dumb apes. Okay, well, if they're just dumb apes, why haven't we found them yet? Why isn't
they're a lot smarter than we are? Yeah.
Oh, they've been here long before us. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If there's a book you should buy, you will love this. It's called Everything You Know Is Wrong by Lloyd Pye, P-Y-E. And his second book, Everything You Know Is Still Wrong, is still pretty good too. I haven't got that one. But in this first book I told you about, he describes the Anunnaki coming to the planet and with their DNA making hybrids, which became the Sasquatch. So we could mine the gold so we could help them repair their atmosphere, because powdered gold on the 10th planet Narubu, he goes into the Sumerian cylinders, those gold cylinders that have it tells how they took their DNA and melded, made humans.
Oh, wow.
With Sasquatch. They just kept breeding and breeding and breeding and breeding until they got us to a point where we could think for ourselves but would not uprise and revolt against them. So we could be controlled to a degree. We could make intelligent, calculated decisions that wouldn't affect anything and get the jobs done quicker because we have the power of reasoning. So that's a whole other story too, whether you believe that or not. But while we're on this rabbit hole, why not? I mean, and I didn't just wake up one day thinking, I want to be the weirdest guy I know. I mean, this just happens and it gets thrown in your lap. And some people just disregard it. Some people just don't remember it, or they will ignore it.
Right.
And so I can't discount it, but I am hearing, when I was doing my Sasquatch reports for BFRO, so many people were telling me things, but they weren't saying other things. I could tell there was like an underlying current of, okay, so the thing was with, if you see a Sasquatch, you're ridiculed. People make fun of you.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, Gwen, she said she saw a Sasquatch driving the ambulance. Well, I'll tell you what, let's have her over for a Christmas party and let's give her some crap. I'll tell you, we'll have fun with her.
People think I'm crazy all the time. I get told all the time, there are no Sasquatches here. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I saw one. What you do with that is on you. I saw one.
One person's reality is another person's dreams. Yeah. So we know that. But we see these things, and you're not crazy. I'm not crazy. I've been called crazy. You've been called crazy. But and these witnesses that I've done, because I've had 100 reports published to BFRO. That's public. I've interviewed many, many, many more. But so I've talked to a lot of people, and when you first start talking to them, they're afraid you're going to start laughing at them right away because their wife did, their husband did, their cousin, grandparents, coworkers, they all made fun of you, ridiculed the crap out of you. So you just can't even tell your stories anymore.
Yeah.
So they have that knowledge that, there's things going on and we see them and we can't explain them and we're not crazy. Well, how do you explain them to somebody who just can't believe it? Well, you can't. you really can't, because the more you talk, the more they go, you know. So you shut up. So, but that's what came out, because when my people were telling me, you know, when I started doing this, 2011, 50% of all Sasquatch sightings were road crossings. You know, driving down a highway late at night, Sasquatch runs across the road. My wife and I saw it. Oh my God!
Yeah.
And, you know, and that was half of it. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. That's an incredible event. If you've never seen one or not even know what they are, and suddenly you see an 8-foot gorilla walk across the highway under your high beams, that's going to get your attention.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see that, and you experience it. And so, you know, there's people that, you know, they're not telling the whole story when I'm talking to them, because they're waiting for me to go, yeah, you're kind of crazy there, Bob. But I don't do that, because I believe them. I said, together we will either find out what you saw and prove that it was something else, or if we can't, then you saw what you saw.
Yes.
Period of end of conversation. Let's quit trying to discount it at a certain level. Right. You know. So then they start going, well, this guy's probably all right. So they'd say, well, this is the kind of funny statement that many of them made. Well, you know, now that we're done, I guess I want to tell you that you may not believe. I'm saying, well, you just told me about a creature that you saw that doesn't exist.
Right.
And so you're going to tell me something I'm not going to believe? Bring it on, baby. You know, bring it. You know, let me hear it, because I want to hear what you got to say. If I'm not going to believe it, you just told me some pretty weird stuff anyway.
Right.
So what else you got? So then they tell me about, you know, them disappearing. They're manifesting into and out of visibility. They're they're being spoken to, mental telepathy. They walk into a tree and they don't come out the other side. They disappear.
Mm-hmm.
They hear voices. They hear their name called. Most of my people hear them having conversations whenever they go out. At night. Yeah. Half of my people hear them chattering and talking. So, you know, it's a Chinaman chatter. They're talking. They hear that, and they hear 2 or 3 different voices: Mama bear, Papa bear, baby bear. And so they're hearing this. They don't know what they're saying. But it's, you know, it's with inflection and pausing, breathing, and enunciation. So it's a language, you know, like Ron's buddy Scott Nelson. He's a linguist. He hadn't done anything, but declared it was a language, but he hasn't dissected it yet. He may not be able to, because you got to have a known language to work from. And right now we don't, unless you go into some of the simian recordings. That's gorillas, monkeys, simian. If you go in and sort of break down some of that chatter that's been recorded, you know, out in the Congo and other places, you might be able to start put something together. You might hear just one syllable that sounds like that. Okay, that's one. So you might be able to put something together. But they're hearing that. So people are hearing the Sasquatch talking. They're seeing them. They show themselves to them. They show them their kids. There's orbs. There's craft. And this is mostly in rural areas or heavy woods. Like here, I'm in the Mark Twain National Forest. I don't know what you got where you're at.
We have a lot of state woods, state land around. Yeah. So
where you at? Indiana, Ohio? Where you at?
Pennsylvania.
You're further up. Yeah. Yeah. So, but you know, you've got vernacular. You've got, you know, in some of the actually, I was listening to there's this program. It's the I don't remember the name of the guy, but he recorded families in the Adirondacks that just talk using clicks and growls and because they're inbred.
Oh.
They bred with their own family. They're in the Appalachians in Adirondack. They bred. There's one family that's very famous. If you could go to a YouTube and just Google Adirondack inbred family, and you'll find several videos.
Oh, wow.
And these people are they're barking. But that's probably because they had no schooling and they're inbred. I mean,
Right.
you know, among other, that's you got two things going against you right there. If your sister is your mother, well, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Please pass the. You want the gravy? Well, please pass that. I'll keep up. But it's a real thing. So you know, there's humans that talk that way.
Yeah.
So it's just not that far fetched, really, if you have an open mind. And that's my whole thing about all this stuff. Well, hell, it's almost 8 o'clock, girl.
It's almost 9.
Almost, well, 8 o'clock here. Yeah. So but there's you know, there's a language, and then there's, you know, knowledge.
Yes.
You know, and you don't get one without the other. Now, if you can't speak the language, you're speaking what, you know, then we're not going to understand it, you know.
Right.
But, you know, and this thing with the ETs, for anybody listening, rabbit homesteading, anybody, if you think any of this sounds familiar, like you've been taken, go get abducted. I mean, go get abducted. Don't do that.
Can we just hang out with a sign in the front yard that says, "Come get me"?
Yeah, I'm bored. Come get me, ET.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no,
need
go
this
get.
in my life.
Yeah, get regressed. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But find out, and you can contact me. You got my name. Email me. Gwen will probably throw something around here on the bottom. Show my email.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can, and there's other people that know about these regressionists as well. And so, but I can hook you up with, you know, they should be live, not online. You should do it live, and you should get someone who's, it's called HTTP. It's a certain type of hypnosis. If you go to Dolores Cannon and Google, look her up, it'll tell you what style of hypnosis they do. And it's a certain thing, but they have to have a certain criteria. But basically, if anybody here has any kind of doubts or questions, or I used to have this weird dream all the time of, you know, my teddy bear coming up and talking to me and kissing me on the eyeball. Well, maybe that was something else. You know, I mean, if you've got some bizarre memories or what you think are dreams that may not be dreams, you know, that could be memories that are passing themselves off as dreams. The ETs can make you think you saw one thing when you saw something else entirely. It's, you know, I've just described that in really minute detail. And, you know, these books are for sale if you're interested in buying them. Or you can contact me, sqexplorer@gmail.com. But anyway, if you've got something bugging you, and some of this has rung a bell with anybody, I don't give names, I don't give locations. I'll tell you where you should call, or somebody that you can call who might know who you can call if I can't put you with somebody. But it's worth it. And it's worth it if you've had Sasquatch events, because I've had a couple of people that have had both, like myself, and another girl and her sister were both taken. Another guy and his sister were both taken.
That's incredible.
By Sasquatch and by ETs, they believe. They're as sincere as they can be. It's just like so fresh and real in their minds that they know it happened, but they don't know. They can't put their hand on it. They can't put their finger on it, you know. That's where the hypnosis comes in, you know. But you know, it's been a fascinating thing. I cannot stress enough the importance of digging around. You need the support of your loved one, your spouse, or somebody close. You need the support of somebody that you're going to be sharing this with. You need to have their blessing and support. If you don't, it's going to be a nightmare. It'll be worse than not knowing.
Yeah.
Once you find out these things and you don't have the support of a loved one, You know, if you don't have somebody in your life, well, that's okay, but you don't have anybody that's going to give you a bunch of crap either. You know, you do find out something. So
double-edged sword.
yeah, and your husband, your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, they're going to give you the most crap because they love you and they can. You know, they're just kidding with you. But for some people, it's a seriously real and traumatic event.
Yes.
And it needs to be looked into. And that's why I do my Sasquatch research. And I wrote 4 books in 3 years, and you throw in my abduction book, that's 5 books in 3 years, and I'm done. My hand hurts. I'm done writing. But my habituation stuff is it's fascinating, and somebody reading this or watching this right now is having the experiences we talked about, and they haven't said anything.
Yes.
Somebody watching this right now knows somebody who's had experiences with Sasquatch and or ETs, and they're not saying anything. Why? Fear of ridicule.
Yes.
So that's real stuff, guys. And anybody, if you're researchers or experiencers, you're going to know, oh my God, that's no lie. Well, they tore me apart at the last Christmas party.
Yep.
I was humiliated, but your good friends will do that because, hey, you're my friend and you can take it.
Right.
Well, yeah, not really. Kind of hurts sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
So when are we going to go squatching together sometime?
Oh my gosh. I think since we both have the same birthday, we should go out for our birthdays.
Do I have to get you a present?
No.
Okay, well, good. I'll give you some books. Well, you bought them, I think. Yeah. Well, I'll give you another book. I'll find something to give you. But it's really bizarre because I was listening to somebody talk about this very thing today, and that I've met some of the coolest people online that I've never met in person.
Yeah.
Because we have common goals, common beliefs, generally common.
Absolutely.
And it's true. I've met more people, now that I'd like to hang out with than it was in the past when I was meeting people. God, I don't want anything to do with you. You're a nightmare. That's what's wrong with you.
Right.
So, but that's cool. So that you and I should hook up at some point. Maybe we'll end up at the same conference or something.
Yeah.
I'm not a cool kid, so I don't get invited to the conferences. They don't want me talking about the woo, the paranormal.
Some conferences I'd rather not go to, but I go to them anyway.
Yeah. Well, the one I've been turned down a couple because, well, you just got to keep that paranormal stuff in your pocket. I said, well,
yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
And, really, you're gonna inflict your ignorance on all these people that are paying good money? Yes, I am. Yeah. Well, okay. What they don't know, I guess, will hurt them someday.
In every one of my speaking engagements, I make a point to say, none of us know the answers. There are none of us who are experts in this field.
Yeah.
And you got to keep an open mind. You have to be open to things because let's face it, we don't know the answers.
Yeah.
And that's just it. We don't know.
Yeah. Here's my favorite ism. Considering is not believing. It's just consider. Have an open mind. Consider it in all honesty to yourself.
Yes.
As honest as you can be to yourself. If you already have your mind made up, well, I'm not believing this crap anyway.
Right.
Why should I bother? But just consider the fact, because the ape only explains virtually nothing. And they're upright and they got a pulse and they reproduce. It doesn't explain 80% of the other stuff that's going on that people are reporting.
Yeah.
And so you just have to have an open mind. Nobody has to know you're considering it. It'll be our secret. Shh. Nobody's going to know that you're like an ape or oh my God, I read about, vibrational frequencies. I'm going to hell. Oh my God.
I know, right?
I can't go to Bigfoot meetings anymore. I've opened my mind.
Because people have corrupted me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I've corrupted a few people, but this is just, it's a surprise to me at the time of my, I was 50 before I even found this out. Yes. Imagine going half of your life and half of your childhood, the things you remember aren't possibly what they were.
Right.
I just, really? God, I kind of like most of my childhood, well, except for one thing, and all those two things. You know, it just, it's tumultuous. It turns things upside down. You don't know what to do with it all.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So.
And I've had that experience here living in this house.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had paranormal experiences my whole life. Things that were very detailed, you know, seeing that tall, slender man in my living room.
Yeah.
That you know, I've believed in ghosts my whole life, and then Bigfoot happened.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, well, what if that thing you said was this? What if it's not that? What if it's Bigfoot? And I was like, mind blown. Boom. What? So now I look back at my life and I think, like, really, what were all those things? Could they have been something else instead?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm going to send you, I'm just making a note here. I'm going to send you my 2 Word docs, the Strangeness at Home, which is my stuff here that my wife and I have experienced. And then I'll send Mike Harrell's list of commonality.
Yes, that would be interesting.
If you never heard of him, he's a real nice guy. If you want to reach out to him, if you got any questions.
Yeah.
But, you know, they did this study about what people saw on craft.
Oh my gosh.
Perception of the beings on the craft. That was very forward thinking thing, because he's probably 50 now. So 30 years ago, this was something he did to do his thesis for his graduate or doctorate or whatever he got in college. Fascinating. But if you read it, you'll just be going, oh, you know. And I guarantee you half the stuff that I send you about my house probably happened in your house.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Because I've told you about some dreams I've had that I woke up in the morning going, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And then you come out with this book and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This is kind of crazy. Like, what if? Because now I have a lot of questions that I didn't have before.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get some answers, and hopefully some of your audience gets the answers.
Yeah.
You know,
I do need to go get a regression.
I'd love to come back at some time and just talk Sasquatch. You know.
Oh my gosh.
This is really, it's kind of taken off on its own, and I really, you know, I was not going to release it as a book. I was gonna make it into a book and just leave it for my family so they'd know how weird I was when I died, why I was so weird. But you know, once I ran into Travis Walton, he said, "What the hell are you doing, man? Put it in a book and get it out there, man."
Yes,
because the world needs to know what's going on. You know,
that's right. And people may have the same kind of experiences.
Yeah,
and they may read your book and go, "Holy shit!" Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I've been doing. Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes when I read my stuff, I'm going,
really?
Did that come out of my mouth? I mean, I'm in the rings of Saturn talking to old people. I mean, who does that?
Right?
Nobody. How do I make that crap up? You don't. But it put the brakes on, my life for a minute, and I had to, start paying attention to some things. What I really should be doing this next winter. I plan on sitting and listening to all my tapes numerous times, and maybe it'll click something in my head.
Right.
If I have to spend money again, and it's not all about money; it's about peace of mind. But I know I can surmise most of what happened. Right. And by them telling me, like I told you earlier, you weren't supposed to remember that. How did you know that? Well, that might be true, but then it might not be.
Right.
They jack with you.
Right.
So I know I'm hitting the nail on the head on a couple of these things. So, when they do that, they're as much as saying yes, but they won't, But it's just been a fabulous, trip, and I'm still learning some things and making up some, making up for lost time and trying to learn this, because, I'm 72. I don't have that much time left. I don't know how much time I got, but I don't.
Oh, you got a lot of time left.
You keep saying that, girlfriend. Yeah, you do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When I read in your book that you were 73 years old, I was like, get the hell out of here. He is not 73 years old.
Well, don't rush it. I'm 72. I'll be 73 in September.
Well, you don't look out of your 50s, really.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. You know, I'm just really I'm just immature. You know, pull my finger. See, I'm still 12. You know.
Okay, though.
But in all seriousness, it's been cathartic.
Yes.
To find it all out.
Absolutely.
And the reason I'm not so freaked out is because I've been carrying it around with me for 50 years.
Right.
So it's not like a surprise anymore.
Right.
Now I got to figure out, I got these presents, I got to open them one by one and figure out what I'm going to do with them. You know?
Right.
That's the task at hand, you know.
Nice.
So let's do this again.
Absolutely. Soon.
Whenever.
That's it. I need to come to Missouri. Right? Missouri.
Yeah. There's a really good area that I have really good luck at. If I told you some of the things that happened to me, I mean, everybody has good luck in their areas, you know, but this area is very prolific. And, you know, when I led my first expedition, BFRO, 2011 or 12 or 13, I can't remember. I saw a Sasquatch vanish in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
At night on the thermal. I was watching the thermal heat signature. It walked around the corner. It was a long story to it, but it walked around a corner, saw us all sitting there, took one step, second step, like a flash bulb went off in front of my eyes. It exploded. I was seeing spots I couldn't see. It was like, dang. The Sasquatch just vanished. It just clicked himself off because it didn't expect us to be sitting there in the dark we were waiting for a lost group that had come separated from our group. And we had bad radio service because we're down in a holler and so were they. So I was watching for heat signatures because the radio reception was so bad I couldn't tell if I was talking to them or not. So I saw this heat signature coming through. I went, oh, thank God they're here. And lo and behold, it wasn't them, it was the Sasquatch. He walked right around. And that area is now my research area. My wife has had an experience there with me that if I tell you that, it'll blow your socks off, you know. But it's just, you know, I put myself in the right place at the right time for whatever reason. It just seems to be working, you know. Right. And there's others in my position too. So I'm not by myself. There's others that are having, you know, incredible success doing what they're doing, and you know, and you too. I mean, it's just, you know, but it's because there's a love and a need for it, and you need to find it and feed yourself and feed your mind and your soul, and you know, make yourself happy inside. And that's what I'm doing with my research, just like you are, you know. So we'll find a way to get together.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
Yep.
Our birthday sounds like a great time.
Huh?
I said our birthdays sounds like a great time.
Isn't that weird?
It's so bizarre. And, you know, thinking back, I'm like, I know your birthday is the same day as mine because, you know, Facebook tells me that it's your birthday, but it never really registered until tonight when you said about your birthday. And I was like, oh my God, that's my birthday. Like, how bizarre is that?
That's weird. Well, you can make it all better by getting me something for my birthday. And I'll get you something.
What do you like?
I'm not going to tell you.
I ain't going to tell you either.
Nope, that's it. You just get me whatever floats your boat, and I'll get you whatever floats my boat.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
thank you so much.
Whatever.
Yes.
So, but this is fun.
This was
good. I know you.
Yes. It was great to see you and speak to you in person. Sorry.
Yeah, same here. I was just, God, I wonder what she's like. Yeah, you know, but you know, you don't know. You know.
No, you don't know. You have no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You were definitely coming back.
Okay, cool. Just let me know. Give me a couple months notice, usually. But, you know, whatever. We'll just do it all Sasquatch then.
Yeah, that sounds
fantastic. See, I don't stop talking. I just keep going.
Me too. So.
We're already 12 minutes over, so you're already going to have to.
Yeah. There's still 4 people watching us.
I know.
Right?
Awesome. Hey, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think about 10 or 12. I don't know who's actually left.
I don't know either. It doesn't tell me who they are. It just says they're there.
Oh, yeah. Well, until we meet again.
Yeah, until we meet again. Thank you.
This was awesome. Hey, send me when you get through with this. Send it to me so I can share it with everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This has been a CARC Universal production.